Hello and welcome back to the Columbus School of Chinese and our show Ask a Chinese Teacher. Today I'm going to talk about yet another question we get from students quite frequently, which is, how do I deal with verb tenses in Mandarin Chinese? Well, the simple answer to that question is you don't. So in Mandarin, we don't really have tenses in the same sense of the word as we do in English. In English, we have things like past tense, present perfect tense, future tense, etc., when we're talking about verbs. And these convey how the action, how the verb has to do with time, right? If it happened in the past, you use a certain tense. If it's going to happen in the future, you use another tense. In Mandarin, we don't have those tenses. In Chinese, there's a couple different ways we can express the timing of the action of a sentence. One of them is just through context. So if there's a time phrase like the word tomorrow in the sentence, we know the action is going to happen tomorrow. So for example, I might say something like, I tomorrow buy chocolate, right? So that buy, that verb to buy, doesn't really need to change in order to express that that is going to happen tomorrow. Because I already explained that with my time phrase. That's how we would say that in Mandarin. Another way we convey how the action of a sentence relates to time are these things called grammatical aspect particles. So these are grammatical words. They're not quite words unto themselves, but they usually come right on the back of a verb that expresses something about how the action relates to time. If it's something that's been completed already, or will happen in the future, or is ongoing. And we're going to kind of explain a little bit of how to use these words here today. So I'm going to offer just one strategy for how to express something that's already been done in the past, how to express an action that's taking place right now and it's ongoing, and then how to express that something is going to happen later into the future. There are many ways to do all of these. I'm just going to give one example of how to treat each one here today. All right, so let's start in chronological order here. Past tense in English indicates something that happened in the past. In Chinese, there are ways that we can convey an action has already been completed. That is with the aspect particle le. Le will come either right on the back of the verb of the sentence or at the very end of the entire sentence. So let's take a look at an example here. 我吃饭. 我吃饭. I eat food. There's nothing in here so far that indicates this is something that has already been completed. When we add our grammatical aspect particle le to the end of the sentence, now we are indicating this is something that has already been done. 我吃饭了. 我吃饭了. And that, in a nutshell, is how you can use le to express something that has already been done, something akin to past tense in English. Okay, so now let's talk about action that is ongoing. So in English, we have this thing called a gerund, where you take a verb and at the end of it, you put like an ing to indicate something is ongoing. It is happening right now, right? Even the word happening has an ing. Similar to that in Mandarin, you can put a zai in front of the verb to indicate an action is ongoing. So take our first example, 我吃饭, I eat food. If I wanted to explain that I am eating food right now as we speak, I could put a 在 before that verb. So you end up with the sentence 我在吃饭. 我在吃饭. Right. You might have seen 在 as a preposition, at or on. That's when it comes before a noun. But I like to think of those signs you might see on the street here in the US, children at play. If we put this at in front of a verb, it kind of makes some intuitive sense to us speaking English as well. This is something that is going on. This action is going on right now. Children at play, men at work. You can think of this 在 in a similar way. All right, so finally, let's talk about action that will happen. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. Let's go back to our original example of 我吃饭, I eat food. Okay? If we put a 要 in front of the verb, 我要吃饭. Now we have something indicating this is what is going to happen. 我要吃饭. I am going to eat food. Now, if you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, I've learned 要. This 要 means to want. How come if I say 我要吃饭, it doesn't mean I want to eat food? That's a great question, and the answer is context. So depending on context, that might be expressing I want to eat food. It also might be expressing I am going to eat food. So let's add some context. Let's add a time phrase to this example. Let's say I'm going to eat food at 6 o'clock. Okay, so let's add a time phrase. 我6点要吃饭. Now, with this context, it is very clear. We're talking about something that will happen, something that is going to happen at 6 o'clock. So there are 3 strategies, one each, for expressing the Mandarin equivalent of English past tense, ongoing present tense, should be present perfect tense, I believe, and future tense, right? Again, there are no tenses in Mandarin. There are many ways to deal with past action, ongoing action, future action. These are just one strategy for each. If you have any favorite strategies of your own, we'd love to hear about it here, and thank you for watching.